Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to today's program. Our topic today is global warming. This is a very vast topic. It involves a lot of things. In our studios today we have Dr. Kanan Purkasta, a very well-known scientist, professor, a writer. He is hardly in London, though he works in London, he's hardly in London. He's out in Europe lecturing about global warming. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's not very warm today.
Yes.
It's all right. Yeah. What is global warming? The general people think that probably it's something to do with the summer. It is not. It is the year-round misuse of the facilities that we have earned, made to make our life simple and easy and probably more productive. But this production increases the CO2.
Yes. Yes, that is the case.
This is the case.
Yeah, yes. That is the case, you know, because when we think about the global warming, we actually need to think about some of the chemical that is causing this global warming, because the sun is radiating the light and the radiation is coming to the earth and it is nicely passing through our atmosphere. But as soon as it is coming to the ground, it is radiating back the infrared radiation. And that infrared radiation is, the greenhouse gas is opaque to this infrared radiation. So when infrared radiation is going to the space again, and then because of the blanket of the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrogen dioxide, they are absorbing this radiation and re-radiating back to the earth. And as a result of that, the earth's surface temperature is increasing. And that is actually we call the global warming. The global warming is actually Earth, you know.
So the cold areas and the icebergs are melting, and causing the level of the sea and water is rising, and devouring land which is needed for our habitation.
Yes, because of this, you know, this global warming, the climate is changing. Because that is impacted the climate change, is global. So sea level is rising because the ice is melting. So Arctic, the sea cover is every year is decreasing, and several million kilometers already melted. You know, and as a result of that, sea level is rising. Very recently, you know, in Stockholm University, they have done some research work on that, and they have checked what is the impact of all this the melting that is going on in the whole world, basically, and they have found that the level of the carbon dioxide is already rising, and all the time. As for example, I can give you a figure actually that yesterday's and the today's 3rd, yesterday's 2nd May. We have not yet received the 2nd May, 1st May. The 1st May, the total level of CO2 in the atmosphere is.
You mean worldwide?
Yes, worldwide. It's a total is, you know, it's a worldwide. It's an average level, you know, the 433.95 parts per million. That is the level of CO2 in May the 1st, 2026. So there is a level. And if we look at the various levels now, say February 2026, it was 429. April 26, 2026, it was 432, the monthly average, you know, 432. But in May the 1st, it is 433. So it's all the time is rising usually. But between this rising, if you look at the graph, you will see some fluctuation. You will see going down, going up, going down, going up, this sort of thing. But the trend
why
is...
does it go down then?
Yeah. So it's going down, going up. That is related to several other factors. And one of the important factor we call is Milankovitch cycle. That is a scientific term, and that Milankovitch cycle, that is Milankovitch, the scientist who actually they're looking at the long term and the periodic variation of the Earth orbit.
Right.
And they have looked at the several things like the Earth orbit's eccentricity. That means Earth's orbit is like that.
Elliptical.
Elliptical, and then you will find maybe another several years later a little bit shifted. So this is called the eccentricity of this orbit. That is one. Another is scientifically called. Another is obliquity. Obliquity means tilting. Earth is tilting, and
But
also
it is already tilted.
Yeah.
Causing right
it is
and
tilted, but this position also sometimes varying. Sometimes it is little bit going right, little bit going left. That is happening.
Yep.
And another thing is the precession. Precession is a wobble, because Earth is all the time wobbling.
Yep.
Yeah. So these three factors is influencing the Earth behavior. That means how much Earth is getting solar radiation. You see, the solar radiation is varying all the times, and that is called the Milankovitch cycle. And when it is doing what, there is a cycle there. There is a calculation also there, and on that basis, you will find some sort of fluctuation going on, but the trend is always up. And the trend is the additional to that fluctuation, and that additional is coming from the greenhouse effect. So that is because the fluctuation that is going on, if we look at the variation of these fluctuations, it is a larger time scales, but the trend that we see, the total trend, it is rising. And if we compare these last 50 years and 100,000 years, that comparison, that is also done. The last 50 years, you will see the trend is more or less like a hockey stick graph. If you look at the graph, it's a hockey stick. It should not be like that, And then they are corroborating this situation with the level of greenhouse gas that is emitting through our activities, various activities, and we are emitting greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, and it is more is going on because of the population rise and economy rise. Now we have got more or less 8.23 billion of populations.
What made it us realize that is happening?
Okay.
You talked about that is very old, something like millions of years.
Yeah, millions of years. But that is happening. The lady who is mainly tell us that the carbon dioxide, we have to blame carbon dioxide for it, is an American scientist whose name is Eunice Foote. Eunice Foote or Foot, people say. What she did, she around 1830, 35, that period.
She is the mother of global warming.
You can say, but she first of all take the jar of air without carbon dioxide, and then another jar only carbon dioxide, and then she put an heat at the bottom of that jar, and she found that the jar with carbon dioxide is heating more than the other air component. That is the thing, and in that way, carbon dioxide get the blame for global warming mainly, and then people are looking at where this carbon dioxide is coming from. It is coming from the fossil fuel burning, because the most of the greenhouse gas is roughly 50 billion per year we are emitting, and that 50 billions are coming, making things. We are making things, steel, cement, 29% roughly, plugging in like electricity, 26%, and growing things, agriculture, 22%, getting around our transport, 16%, and also keeping warm, cool, heating, refrigerator, and also things giving 7%. So this is the human activity. These are contributing to the global warming.
While we are talking about it, sitting in a studio,
yes.
we have used the transport, you have used the transport,
yes.
we have all caused
yes.
the global warming.
Yes, all causing the global warming, and that's the reason we need to think about the alternative way. I just wrote another piece for the newspaper, a Faustian bargain. That is the caption, of my writings, because some people are thinking, okay, if we spread some aerosol in the atmosphere, then this aerosol blanket can reflect sunlight. Sunlight will not come. It can cool down our earth surface. So there is some sort of Faustian bargain some people are doing. That means they are unethical choice.
It will work like an umbrella.
Yeah, it's an unethical choice for quick success.
Yeah.
That is the Faustian, the bargain. That is I have argued in my essay. But there is a short-term solution. Yes, sunlight can be reflected in space. So less sunlight to the earth, but it has got several other implications. If we go against the normal, natural and the things, it will affect photosynthesis. It will create other problem, and as a result of that, people are saying, "Oh no, that will cause it's a Faustian bargain. It's an unethical choice for the quick success. Success can come quickly, but it has got implications."
But are there any worse implications?
Yeah, there are a lot of other thinking going on. Some nature-based solutions. That is, people start thinking, and people are started learning things from nature. How nature is behaving, and can we use nature? How we can do with nature? Trees going up all the time, looking for sunlight. Like a termite. Termite is building their home in Zimbabwe, as for example, in the jungle. They are building home with lot of hole in it, where air is passing, keeping their house cool, natural cool. And then Zimbabwean government, they use this technique, and they, it's probably east shopping center, East Side Shopping Center, probably the name, and they build a shopping center using this termite technology. How termite is building their house, and they use it. So these sort of nature-based solutions, people are gradually thinking. Obviously, solar panel things are coming gradually, and a lot of ideas going on about this solar panel. How we can build a solar panel, you can use your balcony. That is, UK government is thinking using your balcony for solar panel, using your waste.
The top of the dustbin you were talking about.
Yeah, dustbin. The dustbin cover you can use for putting a solar panel. In that way,
can you use the top of your car?
Yes, you can do in the top of your car as well, using the solar panel. And also there is a plan so that people can get incentive as well. So using this solar panel, you might generate a lot of electricity, and then
you can sell it to the grid.
And you can send it to the grid, and you can sell it. So this sort of thinking going on, not only for solar panel, it is also this sort of thinking going on for electric car as well. So how to use your electric car, store energy there, and then transfer it into the grid, and that sort of thinking also going on. So change is coming.
But it is quite expensive to install solar panels on the top of your house, the roof, and then when you pay it off,
Yeah.
How long will it take to pay it off? Like people don't pay off in one hefty amount, so they have arrangements with the bank. So is it worth it? A lot of people ask.
Yeah, that is roughly 7,000 pounds. I have read somewhere 7,000 pounds about that. But gradually cost will come down as soon as that chips that needed for the solar panel cost is going. As soon as it's going down, then probably gradually the price will come down. And not only solar panel, wind power as well, But the main issue is how to store those sorts of things. You generate a lot of energy from the wind power, and then you need to store it. You need to use the grid, and you also go through some sort of hybrid way, at the very beginning, not to just replace everything, go gradually hybrid. This sort of thinking already going on worldwide. And some people are already, taking a lot of things in that way, Second, see. Yeah.
What are the main effects? The more extreme heat wave, flash floods, droughts, wildfires, melting glacier, you mentioned, polar ice, and sea level rise.
Yeah.
There is always rumor that within 50 years Bangladesh will have lost, and West Bengal included, will have lost huge areas of land to the sea. And how to combat it?
Yeah, that is one of the things. If you look at Holland, Netherlands, some of the villages they developed in water. There is a floating village outside Amsterdam. So.
Well, that's a land that has been snatched away from the sea.
Yeah, if land is, you have nothing, basically you have to find out the alternative way of accommodating. But there are some evidence also suggests that some of the sea level. The water is rising, but some area of the earth, the sea carrying capacity is rising, and then people are asking how sea's carrying capacity is rising, and that is because the sea surface is going down. That is some of the evidence has been found, but that is a rare thing, If sea level rise, that's happened in the past. Some of the land gone underwater, even some of the small town gone underwater. One discovered in Indian Ocean several decades ago. There is a nice town beneath the...
Like this group of island called Maldives, you see.
Yes.
It is almost at the sea level.
Yes, Maldives is the sea level. Kiribati already underwater. Their minister is talking with in a COP 29. That's standing
under the water.
Yeah, standing in the water. He's talking, with the COP 29 probably or 26, in a meeting. So that's the reason a lot of climate immigrant is going up in different part of the world. Marshall Island is going down and down and down. This area of the island going down. So they have got some agreement with Australia and some other countries so that they are migrant. Those countries can take. There's a discussion going on. So these are some of the issues. But obviously. A lot of other natural phenomena time to time coming, like El Nino.
Well, we are with Dr. Kannan Purkayastha, and we are talking about global warming. Dr. Kannan, it's a rather hot topic. Alhamdulillah, not on a very hot day. The physics, chemistry, and maths of global warming. Causes we understand, but how do we deal with the effects, the impact, the long-term impacts on world and its population?
Yes, because when we say global warming, there are some underlying science there, you know.
Yep.
So that's the reason we think about this in terms of physical process, it's a physics,
Yes.
like a cycle, time, force, temperature. So these are some of the physical, the variables that we think about. And then simultaneously in physics, area of physics, we also think about this thermodynamics. It's a branch of physics,
yes,
which deals with the heat, how the heat, work, temperature, they actually, the works in relation to energy, in relation to entropy. Entropy is the measure of randomness, so these sort of things, these are the properties of matter and radiations, and then physics try to deal with. And when physics think about the radiative forcing, that is another concept in climate science, that radiative forcing is actually the excess energy that is staying in the Earth's surface and not radiating back. So that is called a positive radiative forcings.
Okay.
So the plus, So these are, and sometimes situations arise in the negative radiative forcing as well. But the positive radiative forcing, that is actually related to our global warming. That means the amount we are receiving is more than amount we are releasing. So that's the variation, and physics play a part here. And physics and mathematics, they're interrelated. When you are thinking about physics, we are actually thinking everything in a mathematical way, basically. As for example, when we are thinking about the infrared radiation,
right,
I mentioned in my before that the infrared radiation, greenhouse gas absorbing and radiating back to the earth, because greenhouse gas is using as a blanket. But that infrared radiation, it is more or less 700 to 800 nanometer until 1 millimeter. That is the wavelength of the infrared radiation. So it's a longer wavelength. So longer wavelength is related to shorter frequency. So that is coming from, again, mathematics. Mathematics is telling us the frequency is inversely proportional to wavelength. So you see, so if wavelength increase, frequency decrease. So infrared radiation is moving just like this way, a bigger wavelength. So when it's a bigger wavelength, it's a shorter frequency. That's the relation. So that is the way this infrared radiation is behaving, and mathematics is telling us how it is behaving. And then the thermodynamics, we are thinking, and we are thinking the Earth atmosphere like a fluid. It is like a fluid, and that fluid, the mathematics is telling us how to calculate their behavior, and they use actually, it's called the Navier-Stokes partial differential equation. So that is a very mathematical thing. But every day Met Office is using this. Our meteorological office, they every 6 hours they calculate the weather pattern using Navier-Stokes partial differential equation, and on that basis they predict the 5-day weather pattern.
Right.
So they use this method.
Yeah, but what happens is sometimes they're right, the weather they predict, and sometimes they're completely off the mark.
Yes. So that is the uncertainty. that is also a mathematical concept, that we have to calculate the uncertainty about this Navier-Stokes equation. They are using Navier-Stokes equation the way they're using, like UK. They're predicting UK weather. Each of the parcel, of the land area is 1.5 kilometer cube. They are thinking like that,
right,
and they are predicting each of this cube weather first of all, and then they are generalizing this 1.5 kilometer cube, another cube. In that way, they cover the whole UK. So that is the metrofish. They calculate the weather pattern, and every 6 hours they are doing that, and they are predicting the 5 days.
Right.
That is roughly they are doing, and so mathematics here is plays a part.
But what is the percentage? How likely they are supposed to go wrong in their prediction?
Nowadays, lot of accuracy is coming, and very near future it will be more accurate because quantum mechanics will contribute here. Because quantum mechanics has got two big concepts. One is entanglement, and another is superposition, quantum superposition. These two techniques they use and develop the quantum computing that is already under process, and then more accurately they would be able to predict the behavior of the molecule. Because people sometimes ask, that we have got a 78-79% of nitrogen in the atmosphere, and oxygen you have got 21. So why they are not greenhouse gas? They are not greenhouse gas because greenhouse gas is nitrogen dioxide, methane, carbon dioxide greenhouse gas, and that is the quantum mechanics, the molecular level behavior of nitrogen. This nitrogen, two atoms, when infrared radiation is hitting them, they are actually vibrating, just like a vibrating in a horizontal way. Nitrogen is vibrating like that, oxygen is vibrating like that. But in carbon dioxide, it is angular, CO2. So that is, its vibration is, different, and that is a molecular behavior, and quantum mechanics can predict this behavior of the CO2 and nitrogen dioxide, nitrous oxide, methane, their behavior pattern, and that is the reason that vibrational behavior because of their dipole moment. That is another concept. So because of this behavior of this molecule, which quantum mechanics accurately can predict, and infrared radiation they absorb, and that is because they have to do some sort of rotation. Not that like rotation, it is more or less like you and I go to the pub and we started dancing. If we start dancing, just stand one after another and just going like it's not doing proper twist.
Yeah.
Then no excitement. Practically, so similar sort of things in the molecular level.
Then there are different kinds of dances.
Yeah. So this is a molecular level, a phenomena going on. And another interesting thing here is we are thinking about the atmosphere as a Newtonian fluid. It's like a Newtonian fluid. It is not applicable to the non-Newtonian fluid. Now, non-Newtonian fluid is soya milk. So, I drink soya milk. It's behave like a non-Newtonian fluid, the soya milk, that structure. But in cow milk, it's a Newtonian fluid. There is a difference in scientific term, in terms of viscosity, in terms of its behavior, how it's move, how it's flow, and all sorts of things. And you will find the flow of soya milk is better than cow milk. There is a difference there, and you can test using a cookie biscuit in a glass of. You will find which one is spreading quickly. So we are talking here about atmosphere as a Newtonian fluid, and we are using these sort of techniques. So there's the mathematics. Mathematics and physics interrelated. They explain behavior, and then come the chemistry. You can't ignore chemistry. Chemistry is everywhere. When we say chemistry, we think about the chemicals. Yeah. So we have got the earth composition, atmospheric composition. Troposphere has got one type of composition. Stratosphere has got a little bit another type of composition. Lot of ozone there. And then a lot of reaction happening in this troposphere, and we call in chemistry it's a tropospheric cycle. Like you are driving, your car is giving NOx in the atmosphere, nitrogen dioxide in the atmosphere. That nitrogen dioxide is reacting with the sunlight ultraviolet light, and then it is breaking down and it is giving oxygen atom, that oxygen atom reacting with the oxygen molecule in the atmosphere and giving you the ozone, chemical. So these are all chemistry, and then ozone is problem for your health, and also it is not good. As if the nitrogen dioxide also not good.
You make it sound the driver is the culprit.
No, that is one of the examples. There are several other examples, but some of the chemicals like nitrous oxide that is coming out from the fertilizer, that nitrous oxide is not staying in troposphere. It is straight going to the stratosphere, and that nitrous oxide is affecting in the stratosphere, where it is actually destroying ozone. We need ozone in the stratosphere, but nitrous oxide, when going to the stratosphere, it is actually reacting and destroying ozone.
That is what is they call the hole.
Yeah, ozone hole. And as soon as the ozone hole, then ultraviolet light straight coming to your skin. It will affecting your skin. So you see, so it has got an indirect effect, is another big culprit, and from the physics term, methane greenhouse potential is 23 times than carbon dioxide, So it is more, greenhouse gas potential is higher, and its global warming potential also higher,
So all these things are, all the people in the world, all the scientists in the world, they are all aware of it, the governments are aware, and there are conferences in I think there was a conference of 195 countries in Paris, and they all agreed to bring it down or limit it to 1.5 degrees centigrade, the global warming, see. Have they gone towards that?
Okay, so that is another thing, because there is a vested interest, because fossil fuel industry, they are all the time, they are lobbying with government, and their research also people don't like, when fossil fuel company is funding in an university research, that can cause the problem, and they come up with some ideas as well, if it can be utilized, like hydrogen energy. That is a good way, hydrogen. If you can generate hydrogen energy from water, but the splitting water, because if we split water, we get hydrogen and oxygen, and that hydrogen can be. But how to split water? You need to split water also using the renewable energy,
right?
Because sometimes they are coming with the these net zero emissions. They are saying about carbon offsetting. These are all greenwashing. There is a new term also joined in the climate science. It's greenwashing. That means you are saying you will do carbon offsetting. That means you will emit, no problem, but because you will emit, so you will pay another country to plant trees. So that is an example of the carbon offsetting technique. But these are all greenwashing, people say, because that will not help. We need to reduce the emission at the source.
Right. That's a very interesting point you just raised, was about planting trees. You see, in London, I was reading somewhere, there are 8 million trees. See, and there are 8 million people live in London. You see, so there's a tree for every soul. Inhabiting London. Now, how much does this tree help in combating this problem?
Yes, tree is helpful, but it is not the big problem the tree can solve. Because it is like I have mentioned in one of my writing that using just planting tree to solve global warming is like putting sugar in seawater in a sea and to make the sea sweet. Yeah, it is more or less like that. I have mentioned in one of my writings, and it is incorporated in my book as well, that so that is the case. Tree is nice. Tree is for soil erosion reduction and some other things. We need tree.
Oxygen.
Oxygen. And carbon dioxide. taking that carbon cycle, the balance of the carbon cycle, that balance is gradually get lost. It was balanced in the past, and that's the reason the climate change cycle in the past is longer, 100,000 years, then come ice age, then gone another 100,000 years, then come another ice age. This sort of bigger cycle, and that bigger cycle because of Milankovitch cycle, the influence of Milankovitch cycle, that bigger cycle. So you can't stop ice age because of the Milankovitch cycle, but that smaller cycle that's rapidly coming now, that is actually because of this greenhouse gas, the emission to the atmosphere, and also deforestation, and in a different part of the world, and increasing salinity, and
wildfires.
Wildfire is causing a lot of aerosol formation in the atmosphere, and also the sulfur dioxide from the ship, the big ships, they are using a lot of fossil fuel.
How do you see, at this rate, the increase in the greenhouse gas effect? How do you see it, within 50 years, 100 years, is the population going to survive? Is the world will be good enough to live for people, or people will be dying off because of such follies?
Yeah, people, you can't stop people dying, because even though government is taking the policy, the net zero emissions, but that net zero emission, they are predicting like 2050 net zero emission, but the way the things are going, it will not be achievable. But we can work towards that, something, a goal in front of us, but we need to rethink everything, the way we build everything. There are some of the historic, the way we build everything, and so there's a reason. So we have to start rethinking about everything, and based on the nature. So otherwise the future of the humanity would be either sink or swim.
But is there a chance of swimming?
Yep, that is the, when you think the swim, sink, you will sink or you will swim.
Yep.
Sink, that means you will ready to be destroyed. So and swim, adaptation. You are bringing various adaptation to the change. So if you can bring those adaptation and make an economic argument for it, that is already started. Even though the U.S. government is the present government is against all climate change agenda, but in UK, in USA, different part of the USA, they are doing a lot of
and in Europe.
Europe as well, UK, they are doing a lot of new innovation, of the technological innovations of developing green energy. That is one of the main thing, and also for the adaptation, named social science. A lot of social scientists are working for the adaptation to the change. That sort of mental, the preparedness, So that is also important. So
this in London, this running your car at 20 mile speed, does it help?
Yeah, that is sometimes, that is sometimes it is supporting one of the agenda, like the accident and other things, but sometimes slow the current slow this, and if you put again and again brake and things, it can cause more emission. There are some positive and negative side, both things there. So we need
just a final remark about how ordinary people can help improve the situation.
That's the thing, the ordinary people need to understand from every household. They need to understand how they are managing waste. That is one of the things, so that we can reduce the less amount of waste going to the landfill site and anything, because landfill is generating a lot of methane gas in the atmosphere, and how we can accommodate solar energy, and wind energy where it is available. It is still not available everywhere, but where it is available, then individual household can contribute to that. So individual level action is needed, and then obviously societal level, different industries, even some of the areas that I work historically, there are government, there are 50, 60 industries. Each of the industries is emitting a lot of things in the atmosphere. So each of the industry needs more, the regulatory regime in place, but also technological change, because we need to think about the source level reduction of the emission, not the receptor level of thinking, rather we need to go back to source in every cases. But in receptor level, obviously, every household can think about how to, they can minimize their waste. That is, they can do, sometimes the things will come, probably human have to change their food habit as well. Otherwise, that philosophy, that's either sink or swim. So you have to choose which one.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kannan, for coming along and sharing your views with us and making us more well informed that we were less informed about global warming, and hope that this does not go on deaf ears, and we hope that we will be better equipped with all this knowledge to handle the global warming. The cause, and look after yourself and the environment. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.